Hey up everyone, just a quick video about the news that's come out about the armies now allowing troops to have beards. Quite a few people are quite upset about this. I'm not personally. I mean, obviously I have a beard now, but when I was serving I didn't. For nearly 8 years I think I didn't have a beard before coming out of the army. So, it doesn't bother me. I mean, having beards in the army is actually nothing new. When you go back to the time period of the Crimean War, there's photographs, which some have been colorized, well worth looking at, of troops then with the red tunics on as well, with nice big bushy beards, looked after and that. So, beards are nothing new. The shaving, though, I believe, was brought in for around, I think it was World War I, with the advent of mustard gas being a real threat and an issue, and having to wear gas masks, obviously to protect the troops, and because if you've got facial hair, you can't get a decent seal around your face. But the RAF, the Navy, they've had beards for forever, and I think sergeants in the RLC, I think pioneers, I think it is. I think they're allowed to have a beard. And it's something to do with protecting the face, or the tradition is the beard protects the face for some certain job that they do. But it's one of the things. But anyway, there is quite a few people who are saying that this is quite a cynical move by the army, and I do agree that it is a cynical move. Just I don't necessarily agree with what the word is that a lot of people believe, and it's that they're saying that this is about the military trying to get minorities in, trying to get religious people in. I don't necessarily agree with that because when I left in 2013, and guys could have beards then for religious reasons, so if you're a Hindu, Sikh, or a Muslim, as an example, you could have a beard. But I do think that maybe they may be viewing that the perception of certain minorities, maybe that they can't have a beard in the army. I doubt it. I think most people know that those religions can have a beard in the army. But anyway, I think it's more to do with just trying to get general people into the army. Like just people who either aren't religious or, well, that's it really. People out of religions that require beards. And you see a lot of young people now. It's quite trendy and fashionable to have a beard again for a young man. So I think the army is trying to appeal to that. And I also think this has got something to do as well with General Nesmith Smith. Sorry, Lieutenant General Nesmith. I have done a video about her before. I'll put it in the description below if you're interested in looking at that. But basically, she said as well that she doesn't want the rank structure to be quite so formal. So I do think part of this is that mindset that particular Lieutenant General, and she is the second highest ranking soldier in the army. So I do think that's part of her influence on has come onto this, where she's trying to deformalise the military and modernise it. And in that video, I do speak quite scathingly of her, and I do think that she's actually a danger to national security. One thing you shouldn't mess with is national security. Again, I'm not so bothered about beards themselves. I don't think they are in and of themselves a problem. Unless, of course, you're in the middle of a nuclear, biological, or chemical attack and you need to get your mask on quick. It's too late to shave then, isn't it? But anyway. But this really, in my opinion, just sort of is plastering over the cracks, so to speak, and it's not actually addressing the real root cause and problems that the army's having in recruitment. Firstly, there's the issue with, I think it's Capita who are doing the recruitment. It's taking up to a year for some people to actually get a starting date for the military, and a lot of recruits are just not even bothering. But then there's also the appearance, and as we've been seeing, like with all these Palestine protests, I mean, how many of those people are going to want to join the military? Not very many, I don't think. The general hatred amongst university students and people who've graduated from uni, and hatred for the country. How many of those people are going to be wanting to join the military? Not very many, I don't think. Which is even more worrying, seeing as about 50% of the entire population now go to university. But then on the flip side, people like myself who haven't been to university, they see things like the two-tiered policing. They see the fact that Pakistani, Bangladeshi Muslim rape gangs have been allowed to operate for decades with almost impunity. They see a man called Sam Millet getting sent to prison for 2 years for just simply putting stickers up. I mean, whether you agree with him or not, putting with the message on them stickers, people see that and think, why the hell should I bother? They see all the illegal immigrants coming over on the boats, and they see them going into hotels and loading it up in a 5-star hotel, and then they get given a council estate in the centre of London where it costs £2,000 a month for the rent, and then they get expenses on top of that, and they can't even afford to get somewhere themselves. You know, and these people will be thinking, why should I bother joining the military? And that's the real problem. This issue of non-recruitment is much deeper than trying to have a bit of appeal to the Joe public just by allowing people to have beards in the army. You know, I'm afraid, and it's not just the Tories. You know, this goes back to Blair as well. You know, but the politicians have just ruined this country, and they've just turned Britain into basically an economic extraction zone for the entire world to come and just basically load it up and insult the indigenous populations at our expense. You know, there's a report just come out. I think it was from 2017, I think, and it says somewhere in the region of about 70% of Muslim women have never worked in their lives, just on job seekers permanently. You know, that's crazy, isn't it? It was on the news today as well. There was a debate on GB News. I'll try and find it, and I'll put the link below as well for that. There was a lady trying to say that I think it's something like 61 billion. It's either 31 or 61 billion pound of the UK economy comes from Muslims. Sounds great, that. But then when you realise that Muslims make up around 4% of the UK population, and that amount of money that they're claiming is about 1.5% of the UK's budget, you realise actually that demographic is costing money. And people are seeing this. You know, people aren't stupid. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing about the budget, by the way. I'm just saying people look at that and think, why would I want to fight for that? Why would I want to put my life on the line so a bunch of people can sit at home, you know, and claim benefits and go, thank you for going to work and paying taxes so I can stay at home. Thank you very much. And that's the real problem right there. Oh, and like my video, if you haven't seen it, watch my video on should we fight fire with firepower. I think yesterday, you know, people see all this rampant knife crime and stuff happening on the streets. Again, nothing happening. And you know, and a lot of it is young black men. And the trouble is, though, is that a lot of these young black men, they're getting stopped 3, 4, 5 times by the police with knives, going to court and not getting sentenced. And you know, a lot of young white lads will see their mates going to prison for first-time offences, and they think, why should I bother fighting for this? And that's the actual problem. And this is what the military will never say that, because they're scared of being called some sort of bigot or racist or whatever phobe. And the generals won't say it because they don't want to ruin their careers. You know, the same with the officers, senior officers, they won't say it because they don't want to ruin their careers. You know, the politicians are up to their neck in it. You know, they're getting all these specialist interest groups in, these charities that the government pays, who hate Britain and advise them on things that are going to destroy Britain. And people like me at my level of society, they may not be able to articulate it, but they can see it with their own eyes, and they can make a calculation in their head and think, this ain't good for me or my family. Why should I bother fighting and dying for it? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I've prattled on quite a bit. You know, I've just touched on a few little basic things. Obviously, make your own mind up on it, but I think that's the deeper issue with this thing, and I think that's what the beards thing is all about, trying to get recruitment up, and I think it's going to fail and fall flat on its face. If I've at least given you something to think about with that, please do like, subscribe, put a comment below. Either way, whether you agree with me or not, I love reading people's comments, and I do love trying to get back to people as quick as I can. I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Goodbye.